The weekend's watered-down victory parade marking Russia's role defeating Nazi Germany. Time to remember. But Putin's war in Ukraine has lasted longer than Soviet involvement in World War II, and the Kremlin want people to forget. But that is getting harder to do. More Ukrainian drones are hitting targets further into Russia, including oil facilities like this one hundreds of miles inland. Towering reminders that this war is taking its toll not just on Russian livelihoods, but on Putin's popularity.
Я хочу записать обращение к президенту России.
Last month, Victoria Bonnier, an influencer and household name in Russia, posted some not-so-veiled criticism of Putin.
Владимир Владимирович, вас боятся. Народ вас боится, блогеры вас боятся, артисты боятся.
The gist, Putin wasn't aware of the hardships regular Russians were enduring, and officials were too scared to tell him.
Вы президент нашей страны. А мне кажется, мы не должны бояться.
What was interesting about this, the criticism came from an apolitical source. It got enormous traction online, and Moscow acknowledged the grievance and said it was addressing the issues raised. The Kremlin has curated the illusion of a distant war, and one way of doing that, restrictions on what Russians can see and hear online. Yekaterina Donsova is a well-known journalist and opposition politician living in Moscow, one of a handful of people still willing to speak out in this way about the Kremlin's new internet clampdown.
То есть он не обновляется, и, соответственно, никакие ни посты, ничего невозможно. Ну и до какого-то момента потом все, никаких ни фотографий, ни видео, ничего.
She showed us how social media and messaging services have been blocked across Russia in favor of state-backed alternatives. For her, this is not just about controlling the message, it's about narrowing horizons.
Нет желания мечтать, нет желания думать о том, что они хотят делать и как они хотят свою жизнь строить. И эти ограничения мобильного интернета, там вообще, в принципе, интернета, они сыграли ключевую роль в этом. Потому что у людей изменился кругозор. То есть они не получают тех знаний, той информации, которая у них была раньше.
The Kremlin is billing the clampdown as part of a push for a sovereign internet created by Russians for Russians. But many analysts believe that there are far more practical, security-driven considerations behind it for Putin himself.
I think Putin is fundamentally paranoid that these civilian internet and mobile tools can be used to target him personally and senior Russian military officials. That would send a very, very disturbing, which Ukrainians are already doing.
Leaked European intelligence documents claim the president now spends much of his time in secret bunkers. His inner circle are reportedly banned from using phones with internet access and have had surveillance systems set up in their homes.
We see him much less speaking publicly, much more using recorded messages, much less meeting, traveling around Russia. So his habits have changed. His confidence in his safety, I think, have changed.
Rumours of Putin's political demise have been exaggerated at various points, of course, during the 26 years of his rule. But Russian troops are being killed on the battlefield faster than he can replace them. The country's economy increasingly feeling the pain. And a war being billed as far away is day by day feeling closer to home.
Well, let's talk more about this with Alexander Kolyander, who is a senior fellow at the Centre for European Analysis, specialising in the Russian economy and politics. The war in Ukraine has been going on longer than Russia's involvement in the Second World War. Are the Russian public exhausted by this?
Yes, Russian public is definitely exhausted, and we can see it even from the Russian pollsters, who, let's not forget, are controlled or at least watched by the Kremlin. And we see that Putin's popularity, as well as the popularity of the parliament and the government, are at the lowest level since the full-scale war started in 22. The pain felt is coming from the blocked internet and rising prices inside the country, and also from the slowing economy. Russian economy became a perfect two-tier economy. There is a government-supported military part of the economy, which is doing all right, as you would expect, and the civilian part of the economy, which is stagnating at best.
So how big of a moment of peril is this for Vladimir Putin? We're not going to see Russian MPs writing letters and posting them on the Russian equivalent of X anytime soon, are we? But how much peril is he in?
I don't think there is a peril of some kind of an internal coup or a revolution or, public unrest. That I still do not believe to happen in the foreseeable future. But what I can see is that the role of what is called siloviki, or the security people within the government, be it FSB or Putin's Praetorian Guard of FSO, is definitely rising at the expense of a civilian part of the government, which hits the public mood and it also hits the economy.
We saw the images there, didn't we, of his very modest, scaled-back victory parade. Is that a sign of weakness, do you think? He didn't have the confidence to go full Putin with it?
I think it's more or less the sign of the increased power of the security-obsessed people around him. Because the main reason was to explain to Putin and persuade him that the symbolic parade, which is Russia's biggest event of the year, should be scaled down because there is a clear danger of Ukrainian attacks on the parade, on Moscow, and on Putin himself.
Right.
So it's paranoia getting hold of the government.
And finally, and briefly, I mean, he's said the Russia-Ukraine war, the matter, as he calls it, is coming to an end. He's never said anything like that before. What's going on there? He chooses his words carefully, doesn't he?
Honestly, I don't know. And I suppose nobody knows what does he mean. For the moment, as far as we can understand, he is ready to stop the war at the front line, but he wants a piece of Donbass, which is still controlled by the Ukrainian government forces. And he also wants a number of limits on Ukrainian political and military affairs. So everything depends on how much does he want, and would that be acceptable for Ukraine and Europe? And I don't think that we're at the point where Putin is ready for a compromise.
Okay. Alexander Kolyander, thank you very much.